Hello everyone, welcome to another session with me. This is Sanyukta Saxena, and today's session we will be learning some more new tangles issued by CZTs. So let's get started with today's session. Today's tangle is called Taiga. It is by CZT Thomas Pedros. Yeah. So let's learn the basic tangle first. So what I'm going to do here is add some straight lines like these, right? And then going to start with something like what we drew for the tangle heart rope. If you have tried that tangle, we drew something like this as the starting point for the tangle heart rope. Yeah, and then we added auras. So Taiga also starts in the same fashion, just that this semicircle will be a more triangular. That's the only difference, right? Let's get started first. So let's ink this line. And then I'm going to start right away. Slanting line, add a triangle, go straight again. These are all at 90 degrees. Again, come back. So it's the same thing which we did for heart rope, which we also do for a tangle called organic. And we are doing the same thing for the Tangle Taiga. Yeah, so that was one column. I'm going to ink these spaces. So don't bother if you're not getting this perfect triangular shape. You can always shape it after drawing the lines also. Just draw the lines at an angle and then add the triangles. Yeah. So that's another way to go about doing it. So don't worry about that. Again, going to draw in the other direction. The same thing. If you want, you can always draw a square grid for the sake of reference so that your lines are almost at the same level, of the same size. Yeah. So if you want, you can draw lines like these also. If you are not very confident of drawing it freehand, make a square grid and then draw the tangle. But that grid has to be in pencil because only this line shows as a part of the tangle. Yeah. So that's one line, one column of the tangle. This together constitute that tangle. Now, what we generally do for shading, and this is one of those tangles again, many of Thomas's tangles are such which actually gain their look on shading, right? So you actually get to understand the tangle once you shade it. Yeah, again, the next shading opportunity are these spaces where lines seem to be going over, under. Yeah. So just take your time and shade the tangle to actually get its look, dimension. Yeah. So we will be using this tangle today and one more tangle by the same CZT Thomas Pedros, that is Tentaculus. We already learned that tangle. Let's use these two tangles for drawing today's style. Yeah. So I'm going to get started right away. Add a border. So once you are done with that, again, I'm going to add dividing lines just the way I did just now as I showed to you. Yeah, these lines are important to draw the Tangle Taiga. So you can vary the width as per your convenience. I'm going to ink these lines first. Yeah. Once you have inked the lines, first I am going to start with the tangle tentaculus. So we already learnt that tangle. So going to add these scallops like this. Again from the other side. Not very big ones, not very small. Yeah. Then add those dots just like stitches. Slowly, take your time. And the final step is to ink the in-between space to give the look of the stitches opening, stretching. Yeah, at least to me they look like that. Yeah, so that's the tangle tentaculus. We already learned that. Now I am going to do that exercise over all of these lines. Yeah, so take your time and slowly do that exercise throughout. Make sure it's not too big because we are going to insert taiga in between. Yeah, so I am restricting the size. Not too big, not too small. Yeah, and then the dots. Take your time and slowly do that exercise for all these lines running through. Just inking the in-between spaces. Again, one of those tangles which gets its true look once you shade it. Yeah, we have already seen that. So let me do that for all. So I'm working on the last one now. Inking the in-between spaces. Tangle tentaculus. So as I mentioned, most of the tangles issued by CZT Thomas Pedros acquire a lot of dimension on shading. You can actually see its look once you shade it. So just draw and then wait till you shade. Yeah. Take your time slowly. Yeah. So I'm done with that exercise. Now if you want, you can either straight away, as I mentioned, start with the tangle, or if you want, you can add some grid lines just for the sake of reference. but these lines are not inked. They are only for your convenience. Yeah, so I'm going to start like this, then come down like this, again a triangle, again a triangle, a triangle. Yeah, right? So I did that, I inked those spaces. Now in the opposite direction, so whatever space is visible, available, again ink the space, again the triangle. So you have to go in exactly the same fashion, just that it is alternating in direction. Yeah, go back and ink the space. The spaces can be small. This space that I'm inking, it can be big, it can be small. You can manipulate that shape and space. Right? So that was one. Again, I'm going to change the direction. Come down. Again. So to start with, these lines may help you as to what has to be the length of the line. But once you get used to, I think you would not need those lines. Yeah, so I'll continue like this and complete these columns also. On the last one now, whatever is visible is going to draw that much. Yeah, so that's our tile. I'm going to ink my border. I think we can draw here also, whatever little is visible. Yep, right. Now if you see like this, you really can't make out what the tangle is. So what I'm going to do is add one more close aura. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. Add a close aura like this. So going to go to all, take your time, and add an aura to all. It adds to the look of this tangle. Keep rotating your tile and add an aura to each. Yeah. So I will do that for all. Draw at your own pace. Take your time. Yeah. So I am done with that exercise also. Let us now move on to shading. Yeah. So as I mentioned, all these intersections where lines seem to be going under. So just start adding graphite there. Don't add too much. Spaces are small inside. You have to shade your tentaculus also. So keep it restricted to these places where lines seem to be going under. Take your time. Slowly add graphite to all. Yeah. So let us first blend this much and then we shall move on to our tentaculus. So you will immediately see how the shading will add dimension to this tangle, which till now just look like simple line work. That's the beauty of Thomas's tangles. You don't really realize what you have drawn until you shade it, and on shading they look absolutely fantastic. Take your time, slowly go to each. Tangle pattern Taiga. Almost finishing there. Right, now as far as the tentaculus is concerned, I will just add a touch on one side. And I'm not going to blend too much, I'm just going to give some touch. I want the white sections also to be discreet. Yeah, so I'm just giving a touch on one side with my graphite pencil. Like this. Just blurring that graphite. Just make sure that you don't blend too much, so that you have your white sections in between, else everything will go gray. Yeah. So that's the Tangle Taiga. Yeah. Now if you want, small things that you can do is to add a little more to these intersections. So you can always add some tiny edge marks or thatching there, or you can add some additional darkness with your watercolor pencil, whichever way you are comfortable. Both works. Yeah. So I'm just going to use my pen and add some little bit of thatching there to add that extra zen, extra darkness. Well, if you want to create tangleations, you can always add more tangles coming out of those intersections. Yeah, so that's an idea that I'm giving you. Draw tangles coming out of these intersections. So I'm just adding those small little bit of ink there to add a little more darkness. Yeah, so I'll do that throughout. So I am done with that exercise. That's our tile for today with Tangle pattern Taiga. Yeah. And that's about it. I don't think we need to add anything else. I'm going to close my tile here. Sign and date it. And I shall see you again with some more new tangles issued by CZTs. Till then, have a good time. Bye-bye.